ignited. Heck, it wasn't even that long ago San Diego was in fuego. But either way, within a scant few hours, the scouring of Pacific Palisades.
Now, this is Razorfist. His channel is called the Rageaholic. This dude is like a wordsmith. Check him out.
Was already poised to overtake the 2003 conflagration by a mile. Who knew the state that took over a month to count the presidential votes might be caught flat-footed by a fire? In the plus column, though, Governor Gavin Newsom plays a mean fiddle. Folks, there's posing atop corpses, as with the aftermath of every mass shooting of the past 20 years. And then there's this.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, it's...
Good try.
People are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say.
Say them.
I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden.
Man, this is just like a couple days ago. I don't even know if the fires are done yet. I don't even know if the fires, all of Los Angeles has been destroyed. It's insane. It's this dude's fault, man. I think Trump was right to blame him. I mean, what the heck? They didn't even have water in the fire hydrants. Are you crazy? Also, check out this badass intro. I need an intro like this. Short and sweet. I like that.
Gosh, if we could wring out those crocodile tears, we could have this thing contain Toot Sweet, because we're certainly not going to be able to do it with water, since the fire hydrants evidently have none.
There you go.
The situation with the water, obviously, in Palisades ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out.
See?
Local folks have got to figure that out.
Local people will figure it all out. Families can fight their own fires.
That's
Maybe Hobo Jim can
insane.
fentanyl shuffle off to the beach to bail out your bungalow one bucket of seawater at a time. But one thing we know for a mortal certainty, it won't be ciphered out by the mayor of L.A., who long after the earliest embers that engulfed all of Pacific Palisades in an inferno was just a bit busy flying to Africa.
Yeah, she was long
Do
gone.
you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning?
Good question.
Do you regret cutting the
Look at that face. Look at that face. This is the mayor.
Budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Yeah, what you gonna say?
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
Are you kidding me? Are you in... I haven't seen this. Are you kidding me? She just stood there. She just stood there. Those are legit questions. She didn't say anything.
Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again. Have you anything to say to the citizens today?
Say something.
As you return?
Say anything.
Hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down?
Look at this cuck. Look at this cuck putting his arm up between them. Like, aren't these legitimate questions? Shouldn't they be answered?
The purpose? To show solidarity with the first female president of Ghana. That's right, Cali Cucks. While your houses were still smoldering, Mayor Muff decided to virtue signal about slatch politics. Now, in her defense, given Ghana's political history, the new president has maybe a month before being kidnapped and killed in a communist coup. So sometimes you gotta get that autograph in while the body's above room temperature. Hey, maybe after her head's been located, you can sell the autograph on eBay and buy a new H in the Hollywood sign. It'd be the first H sold in Hollywood that didn't end in Philip Seymour Hoffman's death. And while the title to this video is indeed a reference to the Public Enemy song of the same name, I might have just as well used 911 as a joke, as throughout the disaster, for all their copious public works expenditures and taxing LA citizens through the nose, up the brain, and out through the top of the skull, public safety systems as basic as running water for fire hydrants collapsed like Nancy Pelosi without a walker almost immediately.
That's funny. Some of these references and jokes that he's saying are a little over my head. I'm just a simple man. I don't get some of them, but the ones that do land, it's like, aha, that's funny.
Meaning entire city streets, sweeping suburbs, and finally the iconic Hollywood Hills were outright immolated.
I saw the pictures from like the plane rides. It looked like the apocalypse. I think the dumbest X post that I saw was someone posting it, like the sun covered with red flames and the whole land was burning. And they said, look at this. You can't tell me that climate change isn't real.
Despite having plenty of time to have prevented precisely that result. If only firefighters had access to H2O, I'd say we witnessed the destruction of iconic locations, but the sobering fact is the vast plurality of LA landmarks were already bulldozed to build up big lots. It's easily the most depressing fact about contemporary Los Angeles. Whenever I occasion to watch a little 40s film noir, which is frequently, I simply stagger at the stunning locations featured in each and every film, and yet as I research said location online, it's a near certainty said building was replaced with a theme park or a hobo camp at some indeterminate point in the 19...
Yeah, I heard San Francisco's just like this. It's like post-apocalyptic, and this was before the fires. Like, we're talking about like homeless men, homeless people like everywhere as far as the eye can see.
90s. If you want culture, eat some cottage cheese. If you want rent that's higher than Snoop Dogg and a standard of living lower than Biden's nuts, run, don't walk to Los Angeles. Not to save time, but because otherwise you'll be shot. And as we all subliminally applauded the hellscape that was Hollywood, the pseudo-conciliatory, but actually asshats inevitably chimed in with their white bread apologia. Oh, you oughtn't to delight in their dismay. It's time for red staters celebrating the destruction to look in the mirror. Even the film industry isn't inherently the problem. There's nothing inherently wrong with the filmic medium. Actually, I'd say it's more of a problem with the medium well. And I'll just be direct as a laser missile here, folks. And you asshats can feel free to dislike the video at whim. The only people who need to take a long look in the mirror right now are Californians themselves.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, look at that. Now, the thing about California is that so much of it is rigged. Like, it feels rigged. It looks rigged. I mean, everything about it. It's like there are a lot of people there. We don't want anyone to suffer. You know, our heart goes out to, you know, any person who's been affected and stuff. No one needs to suffer or die or anything like that. And there are a lot of good Californians. Maybe some of you watching this video and you're cool and you get it and you voted for Trump. And there's probably a lot of Californians who voted for Trump, but it's such a Democratic stronghold, and there's just so much weird stuff. Like, they took over a month to validate the election results. That's insane. And so there's a lot of corruption going on, and there's probably a lot more people who voted for Trump than what this shows. I'd be willing to bet, because I personally do think they cheat. But still, it is a blue state, and there probably are a lot of people still who vote blue. And it's like, you know, what he's saying, he's not completely wrong. I've met a lot of Californians that come to Texas here, and I'll talk to them, and they always have a reason why they come to Texas. Oh, I'm here for school. Oh, I'm here for this job. It's like, oh, okay, that's great, I guess. Oh, I'm here because it's cheaper. Okay, that's great, I guess. And it's not like we don't want any of them here, but at the same time, I'll talk to them, and they have the same politics. They hate Trump. They're all Democrat. They're all progressive. And it's just like, it's what you get. It's like, what are you doing, you know? What are we doing here, you know?
The mayor, not the governor, not the damn dog catcher. These people were elected, re-elected, and even saved from recall as recently as 2021 to do exactly this. When Gavin Newsom was plucked from the slavering maw of unemployment in 2021, he already had over 100 active lawsuits against the Trump administration, including to uphold the environmental regulations that led to the lack of water to fight this fire. It was easier for you lead paint pound and Uber imbeciles to entertain the fiction that Larry Elder was the black face of white supremacy than to confront the consequences of your own clannish idiocy. And before anyone claps back with, what about the conservative Californians? First off, try looking up the numbers. Pacific Palisades is in or around 80% died in the dog shit Democrats. And as
okay, well, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Oh my goodness.
for the remaining 20%, what about them? The founding fathers, who many of you purport to enshrine and eagerly invoke when arguing for constitutional protections for your firearms and First Amendment rights, both of which are openly curtailed in Cominternfornia, by the way, tend to ignore one of the most consistently espoused values of SAME, the concept of voting with your feet. The founders were no utopians, people.
That's true.
They were a rabble of realists, all too aware that no one state would be a one-size-fits-all endeavor. And as such, every founder from Jefferson in his earliest screeds against Great Britain to even later political figures such as Frederick Douglass in his address on composite nationality all extolled the need for the citizenry to move to a more agreeable political climb.
Yeah, it's not one size fits all. There has been a mass exodus that's been leaving California. So there have been a lot of people who have, like I just said, there's a lot of Californians that I've seen come to Texas. So there have been some people smart enough to know that this state is a trash hole, and they've been leaving and moving away, many going to Texas. So, you know, there is kind of an argument for the ones who stayed there. It's like, well, we all knew that something like this eventually was going to happen. Writing on the wall.
The corrupt to collapse upon themselves. If you concede the corruption of the California regime and you have yet to relocate, you, my friend, are in dereliction of your civic duty as defined by the founders.
Yeah,
and no
he's kind of right.
you deign to voice in will be or should be perceived as valid. It's a bitter bitch to swallow.
Man.
But medicine often is.
He's
This
wild,
is the net
isn't he?
result of a
He is, he's hitting them, man. He's not striking out. He's hitting home runs. He's zealous about this.
appalling urban planning projects, internecine authoritarianism, and uninterrupted one-party rule. This was utterly preventable. California repeatedly elected not to prevent it. No one had to consult a Ouija board or commune with any long-dead ancestors to predict this eventuality. This was so appallingly obvious, Trump predicted it in a half-dozen campaign appearances and even on the Rogan podcast.
Yeah, he
a
did.
podcast, I would remind you, whose own host has been warning of this issue if environmental regulations are not brought down to some semblance of sanity.
They said, we have no water. I said, do you have a drought? No, we don't have a drought. I said, why don't you have no water? Because the water isn't allowed to flow down. It's got a natural flow from Canada all the way up north. Water, more water than they could ever use. The head of Austria tells me, you know, we have trees that are much more flammable than what you have in California. We never have forest fires because they maintain their forests.
Yeah.
And you have all that water that could be used. They're not allowed to rake their forests because you're not allowed to touch it.
Trump is always right. He's always right about everything. Just go by that standard and we'll be all right, okay?
And all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up. And they don't want to clean up.
What is the deal with these black and white shots? They're all black and white, but all the red sticks out. Like insane. I noticed that on the other one. What are they doing here? Why do they look like that?
Forest because they have environmental problems in cleaning it up. It should be the opposite because you're going to lose your forest. You'll lose it. But it's costing our country hundreds of billions of dollars because of incompetence in California.
Yeah.
So the people, I'm speaking now for the people of California, they don't want to see this happen. They're getting destroyed.
Yeah,
One thing I'm going to do
true.
for California, vote for me,
Look at
California.
his tie.
I'm going to give you safety. I'm going to give you a great border. And I'm going to give you more water than almost anybody has.
California's response was to sue Trump.
It's insane. Everything begins and ends with leadership. At some point, you do have to look at Gavin Newsom and say, hey, you are somewhat responsible for this. I think he's been in office there now for like over 20 years.
Trump even harder. Over the course of his first term, the state of California sued Donald Trump on average once every 12 days. By 2021, the year California decided to save Newsom's job and double down on Democratic unilateralism, the bill for those lawsuits already accumulated to over $41 million. You voted for more of it. So sit back, take a deep brimstone-bereathed breath, and bask in the fruits of your fecklessness. This is the net result of electing a governor more concerned with his quaff than his constituents, a mayor enamored with...
This dude is insane, man. This dude is like a serial... Like, he looks like a serial killer. He looks insane. He acts insane. Like American Psycho levels of insanity. Man.
Abortion on account of her administration already is one, and a diversity hire lesbian fire chief.
Oh, I was wondering if he was going to bring this up. There's a video of this chick talking. I don't know if I've got it pulled up. Are we going to watch it? Is he going to show it? Oh man, it's pretty crazy. This is the fire chief. Like, I think this is the main fire chief, and these are like the assistants or whatever.
Who's less LGBTQ than LGBBQ. I'm Razorfist. Godspeed.
I want to... Hold on one second. Okay, never mind. It was... I'm going to watch another video of someone covering this where they actually show the stuff with the fire chiefs and stuff. But it's crazy, man. I wanted to watch his rants. I've seen another one of Razorfist rants. But man, he's a man who knows how to use a thesaurus, doesn't he? Wild stuff. Absolutely wild. My heart does go out to Californians, but at the same time, it's like, how many people voted for this incompetence? I wonder how many people of the, the elite class are actually going to switch over and maybe start to realize, like, maybe these policies and strategies aren't the way. But I'd love to know your thoughts. I mean, do you think that, how much responsibility do you think Gavin Newsom has to pay for this? Do you think it was a freak of nature? Do you think Mother Earth is angry at us and climate change? And since Mother Earth, the goddess, is angry that we need to recycle more and this will save all the problems? Or do you think this was just incompetent leadership? Do you think it's all Trump's fault? Do you think the stars aligned and it's Trump's fault? Or do you think it's Gavin Newsom and the Californian leadership? What do you think? I'd love to know your thoughts. And please don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of my... I can't even talk now. It's time to end the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Till next time.